Welcome to your Tech News Today, where we keep you informed and empowered by giving you the latest tech stories that impact your daily life. It's Wednesday, March 13th. I'm Mike James. Coming up in a bit, a small county just had to pay big for ransomware, and Apple's got their next big event planned. And just as hundreds of scientists are putting out a warning about potential health risks of your Apple AirPods. Plus, one startup is looking to the skies for the next big ride-sharing trend, and Netflix is planning on even more interactive content. But there is a catch. We'll get started in just a moment. First, we'd like to recognize our partners who help make these Komando podcasts possible. We start with ransomware. These are the lowest of the low of the hacking world. Often they go after individual people, but they also look out for bigger paydays, targeting companies and governments, both big and small. And now a rural county in Georgia is paying up big to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Around the beginning of the month, statescoop.com reported that computer systems in Jackson County, Georgia, were knocked offline by the Ryuk ransomware virus. Agencies like the Sheriff's Department were locked out and had to do things the old-fashioned way, entirely on paper. The Board of Elections also had to create a temporary Gmail account because of a special election for a school board seat. So the FBI tells those who were affected by ransomware not to pay up, but the county of 60,000 people saw what happened in nearby Atlanta last year. They were also hit by ransomware, and it was bad enough that it crippled their system for months and ended up costing about $17 million to recover from. The county manager took that into consideration and spoke with cybersecurity consultants who advised the county to pay up to prevent the long, drawn-out, even more expensive process. And pay up they did. The Athens Banner-Herald says that the county met the hackers' demands of $400,000. And once they had their money, hackers sent a decryption key that allowed county workers to get back into their computer system. It just goes to show that these kinds of attacks can happen to anyone, anywhere. So, of course, we always say, make sure you're always running strong security software and constantly backing up your data. We've got more tips on how to keep these bottom feeders away at Komando.com. Well, we've been telling you about it, and now the date is finally set. Apple has scheduled their next big event for March 25th. So what's coming, you ask? Well, first of all, we expect to hear about the launch of their very own streaming video service to take on Netflix and others. We've long heard they're spending a lot of money, upwards of $1 billion, to produce their own original content. Well, maybe that kind of money is more of a drop in the bucket for Apple, but at any rate, they'll have their own shows and movies that you can't find anywhere else. And just like everyone else, a plan for their service to act as an all-in-one portal for other streaming devices like Amazon's Prime Video and Roku's premium channels. So instead of launching different streaming apps for each service, Apple just wants you to use their iOS TV app. Just don't expect to see Netflix or Hulu included. And here's something that's a little bit different, though. CNBC says Apple plans to offer access to free original shows if you have an iPhone or an iPad. That's one way to get those disappointing iPhone sales back on track. Look for the service to debut sometime in April or possibly May. Something else we're expecting is the announcement of their subscription news service. Rumors of the service have been circulating for months, which might be called Apple News Magazine. Now, the news service is supposed to bundle magazines and newspaper subscriptions into one $10 a month plan, but we've also heard it's been getting off to a rough start. Apple reportedly wants more than their fair share, looking to take a 50% cut from publishers' subscription fees. And there's obviously been some pushback, with newspapers like the New York Times and Washington Post saying, thanks, but no thanks. We might even see some new hardware announced at this event, including an updated iPad and maybe even the return of an iPad mini. Apple is also at some point supposed to reveal their new version of AirPods, which are supposed to put a bigger focus on health. But will they have the opposite effect? Well, just ahead, we're going to tell you why hundreds of scientists have a warning about Apple AirPods and other wireless devices like them. And a folding phone isn't the only flexible wonder Samsung is working on. All that's next right now. Let me tell you about our partners at Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free, plus there's no account minimum deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level. The simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. View easy-to-understand charts and market data and place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. And with Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio. Discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss an opportunity to invest. Robinhood is giving listeners of Tech News a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you get started. Just sign up at money.robinhood.com. Again, that's money.robinhood.com. Decades ago, people thought smoking cigarettes was safe. Even doctors apparently had their favorites. Just listen to this clip from 1949.
Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
It took years, but now there's no doubt how dangerous and cancer-causing cigarettes actually are. And now, look at the modern era. For years, a lot of folks have wondered if your cell phone is exposing you to enough radiation that could cause cancer. Most agencies around the world say your phone is safe, and they're not even worried about the upcoming 5G mobile network. But some scientists have turned their focus to another type of wireless device, Apple AirPods. About 250 scientists from more than 40 countries signed a petition and handed it over to the United Nations and World Health Organizations, saying AirPods may pose cancer risks. Just like phones, they emit EMF radiation that's used in cellular data, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. And here's where the new concern comes in. AirPods hang in your ear canal, so these scientists are concerned about low-power Bluetooth and how close it is to your inner ear and the brain. And although AirPods radio waves are within the legal limits, the petition says the guidelines are just a little too lax. They want the rules to be even tougher and for there to be more awareness. Apple sold about 30 million pairs of AirPods last year, and they have new ones on the way, so I'm pretty sure they're not too bothered by this petition. But it still raises a big question. Are AirPods really as safe as cell phones are believed to be, or actually a real threat to your health? We actually just don't know yet, but until we do, think moderation. Limit the use of AirPods to just a few hours a day, if that, and then keep your kids in mind. And for now, err on the side of caution and just let them use the tried and true non-wireless headphones. Is the foldable phone, as we barely know it already, yesterday's news? Samsung's recently announced Galaxy Fold isn't even out yet, but Bloomberg reported earlier this month that the company is already working on 2 other foldable phones with completely different designs, including a clamshell with a smaller external display. But they might also have something else in the works. It's a wristband phone. It's not a trendy new kind of smartwatch. It's an actual phone with a flexible screen that wraps around your wrist. Tom's Guide says Samsung filed a patent last week with the World Intellectual Property Organization for such a device, with magnets on both sides that will close the ends together once you put it on your wrist. Well, keep in mind that this is just a patent, so there's no actual guarantee that this idea will ever be put into actual production, but who knows? Because folding your phone and putting it in your pocket is already so passé, right? Well, something else that could be passé, ride-sharing on the ground. A guy named Rudd Davis told Forbes that he wants to make flying private as affordable as driving. So he's spent the last couple of years on a startup called Blackbird. Just think of it as an Uber, but on private planes, and not quite as on demand. Here's how it would work. Join a flight or create your own. Blackbird would connect you with a pilot and plane. You could charter a plane by picking a pilot from their pre-approved list, depending on your location, or you could buy extra seats on one that already has an existing flight plan to catch a ride to your destination. Davis, who's also a former executive at USA Today and Groupon, wants flying to become your new go-to for trips from 50 miles to 500 miles, and it looks like people are getting on board with his plan. Earlier this week, Blackbird said that they raised $10 million from a venture capital firm in California. So this could be the travel wave of the not-so-distant future, since there's still no flying cars, but unlike Uber, you don't expect front-door service from Blackbird. Coming up, Windows updates might not be getting any better, but now Microsoft is trying to help in a different way and get ready for more choices as Netflix looks to expand their interactive options. Right now, a quick thank you to our friends who helped make this podcast possible. Welcome back to Tech News Today from Komando.com. Here's something from Microsoft. They're going to actually start taking action when their Windows updates mess up your computer. Now, when you download those Windows updates that will inevitably cause problems, Windows 10 will uninstall them without the need for you to even lift a finger. Let's say you have a startup failure. If other recovery attempts don't work, the update will be removed automatically, and to prevent future issues, those particular updates will be blocked from install for the next 30 days. That'll give Microsoft a couple of weeks to fix the problem. But you do have a choice. If you want to live on the edge, you still have the option to bring those updates back from the Windows Update catalog or through the device manager for Windows updates. But Microsoft can also decide to remove them for you, again, if there's some kind of trouble. So rest assured, Microsoft updates might still be really bad. At least you won't have to clean up their mess. It's a year late, but I guess better late than never. If you like deciding how movies you watch are going to end, the good news, well, Netflix has more choices coming your way. Remember Bandersnatch from the end of last year? It's the interactive Netflix movie that was spun off from Black Mirror, where you get to make all the big decisions throughout the course of the story, even down to what kind of cereal the character has for breakfast. It was very well received. Bandersnatch was trendy around the world, and for a while, a lot of people couldn't stop talking about it. Now, Netflix is riding that wave and planning to add more interactive content across different genres. But before you jump for joy, keep in mind Netflix isn't so much doing this for you as much as they're doing it for the money. Just like any other movie or show, but with the interactive stuff, oh yeah, Netflix is learning just how you tick by the different decisions that you make. Oh yeah, they're going to keep track of those decisions, and yeah, you're going to be getting target ads based on them. By the way, once you're done listening to Tech News Today, do us a favor and give us a good rating on wherever you listen. It does help more people find us, and we thank you for that. And finally, for today's Komando Kicker, if you or someone you know plays Nintendo's games, they probably know about Super Smash Bros. The director of that game, Masahiro Sakurai, has recently revealed that he doesn't take sick days. Instead, he goes to work like normal and has even taken an IV drop with him to work. He's only taken 3 vacation days in the last year, but while some may think he's a hard worker, his health has been down lately after going through a difficult shoulder injury in 2013. If Sakurai wants to hand over his work to someone else, it would be a full-time workload for several people. That's a guy who enjoys his work. For more interesting facts, go to Komando.com and search for the Komando Kicker. And that's your Tech News Today. If you enjoyed it, check out our other digital updates. You'll get tons of great information, like our Consumer Tech Update, packed with facts, opinion, and introducing you to the latest going on in tech underneath the surface. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.